Have you ever discovered that your entire life was built on someone else's lies? My name is Jamie Carter. I'm 35 years old, and until last week, I thought I knew exactly who I was. I thought I was a recently fired computer technician whose wife left me for my best friend because I couldn't provide financial stability anymore. I thought I was just another guy whose life fell apart when he lost his job at Blue Rock. But when my wife Natalie sent me that cold email saying she needed someone stable and was moving in with Trevor, she had no idea she was actually texting an undercover detective who'd been investigating the biggest financial crime in our city's history. What she also didn't know was that I'd been living a lie for 2 years, just like she had, but while her lies were destroying innocent people's lives, mine were about to save them. The question that kept me awake at night wasn't whether I could forgive her betrayal. It was whether she ever loved the real me, or just a fake identity I'd created to catch her in the act. My hand shook as I held the pink slip that just destroyed my life. Blue Rock had fired me after 15 years of perfect service. The security guard watched me pack my desk like I might steal something. 20 minutes later, I sat in my car trying to figure out how to tell my wife, Natalie, that we just lost everything. The drive home to Larchview felt like driving to my own funeral. Our house sat on Maple Street, the one we bought when things were good, when I trusted everyone around me, when I believed people meant what they said. Natalie was cooking dinner when I walked through the front door. She hummed while stirring something that smelled like chicken. Her blonde hair fell perfectly around her shoulders. She looked like the woman I married 3 years ago, the woman who promised to love me through good times and bad. "Hey, honey, how was your day?" She didn't turn around. Her voice sounded different somehow, distant. "We need to talk." I set my box of desk stuff on our kitchen table. The sound made her stop stirring. She turned around slowly. Her blue eyes looked at the box, then at my face. "What happened?" "I lost my job today. They let me go." Her spoon hit the floor, but she didn't look shocked. She looked calculating, like she was doing math in her head. "How much severance did they give you?" "Not, are you okay? Or we'll figure this out together." "Just money questions." 6 weeks pay. That's it." I sat down hard in our kitchen chair. "Nat, I don't understand why they fired me. My reviews were always perfect." She picked up her spoon and went back to cooking. "These things happen. Companies cut costs. But why me? I caught 3 major security problems last month. I saved them thousands of dollars. Maybe that's exactly why they fired you." She turned off the stove. "Maybe you knew too much." Her words hit me like ice water. How did she know I'd been finding problems at work? I never told her about the weird financial stuff I'd been seeing in the computer systems. 3 days passed like a bad dream. Natalie barely talked to me. She spent hours on her phone, typing messages to someone. When I asked who she was texting, she said it was her sister. But her sister lived in California. These messages came at weird times, like she was talking to someone in our same time zone. Then the email came. I was drinking coffee and looking through job websites when my phone buzzed. The message was from Natalie's account, even though she was sitting right across from me. "I need someone stable. This isn't working anymore. I've moved in with Trevor." My coffee went cold in my hands. Trevor was my best friend since college. We were best men at each other's weddings. He knew everything about my life, my work, my marriage. "Nat, what is this?" I held up my phone. She looked at the screen and shrugged. "It's pretty clear, isn't it? You're leaving me for Trevor?" "I'm leaving you because you can't provide for us anymore. Trevor has a good job. He's stable." The words felt like knives. "We've been married 3 years. Doesn't that mean anything?" "It means I tried, but I can't wait around hoping you'll find another job." She stood up and grabbed a suitcase I hadn't noticed before. It was already packed. "When did you plan this?" "Does it matter?" She headed for the door. "Trevor's picking me up in 10 minutes." I followed her outside. Sure enough, Trevor's black truck was coming down our street. He parked in our driveway like he owned the place. Trevor got out and wouldn't look at me. "Suleiman, sometimes these things just happen." "These things? You mean stealing my wife?" "Nobody stole anybody. Natalie made her own choice." Natalie threw her suitcase in Trevor's truck. She turned back to me one last time. "I'll file the divorce papers next week. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." They drove away, leaving me standing in my own driveway like an idiot. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Natalie said about knowing too much. How did she know I'd been finding weird stuff at Blue Rock? I never talked about work details at home. I went to my home office and opened my laptop. 3 months ago, I'd started noticing strange things in the company's financial systems. Money moving to accounts that didn't make sense. Client funds disappearing for days, then showing up again. Bank statements that didn't match the computer records. I've been quietly copying files, saving them to a personal drive. Not because I planned to do anything with them, just because something felt wrong and I wanted to protect myself. Now I pulled up those files and really looked at them for the first time. Blue Rock was stealing money. Lots of it. From pension funds, insurance payments, client accounts. They'd move the money to offshore banks for a few days, earn interest, then put it back. Nobody would notice because the amounts always returned to the right accounts eventually. But someone had noticed. Me. And somehow, Natalie knew I was getting close to figuring it out. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stop digging or you'll regret it. Some secrets are dangerous. I screenshotted the message and saved it with my other files. Whoever sent this didn't know me very well. The more someone told me to stop digging, the deeper I wanted to dig. I spent the rest of the night going through every file I'd saved. Bank statements, transfer records, account numbers from countries I'd never heard of. By morning, I had a clear picture of what Blue Rock was doing. What I didn't understand was how my wife and best friend fit into the picture. But I was about to find out. Something was very wrong with Trevor's story about getting a promotion. I'd known him for 12 years, and he'd never been good with money. Last month, he was asking to borrow cash for groceries. Now, he was driving a brand new truck and living in Larchview Heights, the expensive part of town. I drove past his apartment complex just after sunrise. Natalie's red car sat in the parking lot next to a black sedan with government plates. Through the second-floor window, I could see shadows moving around. 3 people, not 2. My phone rang as I was taking pictures of the license plates. Detective Slade, FBI Financial Crimes Unit. We need to talk. My blood turned to ice. I think you have the wrong number. You've been copying files from Blue Rock. We've been watching their systems for 6 months. Your digital footprint is all over their servers. I almost hung up, but something in her voice sounded honest. Meet me at Central Diner in 1 hour. Come alone and bring whatever evidence you have. Detective Slade looked nothing like I expected. She was young, maybe 30, with short brown hair and tired eyes. She ordered coffee and waited for me to sit down. Show me what you found. I pulled out my laptop and opened the files I'd been collecting. Her eyes got wider as she scrolled through the bank statements and transfer records. This is incredible. We've been trying to prove Blue Rock was moving money illegally, but we couldn't get inside their systems. You handed us a gold mine. I just wanted to understand why they fired me. They fired you because you were getting too close to their operation. These transfers you documented, they total $37 million over the past 2 years. The number hit me like a punch. $37 million, stolen from pension funds, insurance payments, client accounts. Just like you thought. She closed my laptop. But there's something else you need to know. What? Your friend Trevor isn't just dating your ex-wife. He's been feeding information to Blue Rock's CEO, Benjamin Walsh. We think he's the inside man who told them you were getting suspicious. My hand started shaking. Trevor betrayed me twice. It gets worse. We traced some phone calls between Trevor and your wife. They've been planning this for months. The divorce wasn't about you losing your job. It was about getting you isolated so you couldn't cause problems for their operation. The coffee in my stomach turned sour. My marriage was fake. We don't know how much Natalie knew from the beginning, but the timing is suspicious. She filed for divorce 3 days after Blue Rock fired you. 3 days after you started copying more files. Detective Slade pulled out a folder full of phone records and bank statements. Trevor has been receiving payments from an offshore account connected to Blue Rock. $5,000 a month for the past 6 months. He was being paid to spy on me, and probably to keep Natalie close so she could watch what you were doing at home. I thought about all the times Natalie asked casual questions about my work. All the times she looked over my shoulder when I was on a laptop. All the times she seemed to know things I never told her. What do you need from me? We need you to help us catch them in the act. Blue Rock is planning something big. Our sources say they're moving all the stolen money offshore permanently this week. Then they'll disappear. How can I help? They fired me. I don't have access to anything anymore. Detective Slade smiled. They think they fired you, but we've been working with Blue Rock's IT department. Your access codes are still active because we asked them to keep you in the system. You want me to go back? We want you to pretend you're desperate for money. Contact Trevor and Natalie. Tell them you know about the stolen funds, and you want to cut to stay quiet. The plan sounded crazy and dangerous. What if they don't believe me? They'll believe you because you're desperate. You just lost your job and your wife. You need money. It's a believable story. And if they try to hurt me, we'll be watching. But we need them to admit what they're doing on camera. Right now, all we have are financial records. We need them talking about the crimes. I spent the rest of the morning thinking about the plan. By afternoon, I made my decision. I called Trevor from the parking lot outside his apartment. Hey man, we need to talk. I know about the money. What money? The money Blue Rock is moving offshore. The money you're getting paid to spy on me. The money you and Natalie have been planning to steal. Long pause. Where are you? Downstairs in your parking lot. Come up. Apartment 2B. The elevator ride felt like going to my own execution. But when the doors opened, I was ready for whatever came next. Trevor was waiting in the hallway with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Welcome to the big leagues, buddy. Trevor's apartment smelled like expensive cologne and lies. The moment I walked through his door, I knew this meeting would change everything. Natalie sat on his leather couch like she owned the place, her legs crossed, watching me with cold eyes I'd never seen during our marriage. Sit down, Trevor said, pointing to a chair across from them. We have a lot to discuss. The apartment was too nice for someone who'd been broke last month. Marble countertops, huge TV, furniture that cost more than my car. Either Trevor had won the lottery, or the money from Blue Rock was paying for all this luxury. Nice place, I said, looking around. Business must be good. Natalie laughed, but it wasn't the warm laugh I remembered. This one sounded sharp like breaking glass. You always were slow to catch on. Catch on to what? To the fact that some people are smart enough to take opportunities when they come along. She stood up and walked to the window, while other people just follow rules and hope things work out. Trevor opened a bottle of wine that probably cost more than I made in a week. Want some? We're celebrating. Celebrating what? Your decision to join us instead of fighting us. I felt my heart speed up. Detective Slade had been right. They wanted to bring me into their operation instead of just silencing me. What exactly am I joining? Natalie turned around from the window. Her blue eyes looked different now. Harder. You know what Blue Rock has been doing with the money. What you don't know is how big this really is. She walked over to a desk and pulled out a laptop. The screen showed bank accounts with numbers that made my head spin. Hundreds of thousands of dollars flowing in and out of accounts in countries I couldn't pronounce. This isn't just about stealing pension money, Trevor said. Blue Rock has been running this operation for 3 years. We're not just moving money around for a few days. We're taking it permanently. Permanently? Offshore accounts that can't be traced back to us. New identities. New lives in countries that don't talk to American police. Natalie clicked through screens showing fake passports and driver's licenses. My mouth went dry. How much money are we talking about? $63 million so far. Trevor took a drink of his wine. And we're just getting started. The number hit me like a truck. This wasn't some small-time scheme. These people were planning to disappear with enough money to live like kings for the rest of their lives. Where do I fit in? Natalie closed the laptop and sat back down. You fit in because you already know too much to stay outside. And because we need someone with your computer skills to finish the job. What job? One final transfer. Next Friday night, when the banks process weekend transactions. We move everything to accounts in Switzerland and the Cayman Islands. Then we disappear forever. Trevor leaned forward. But we need someone who can access Blue Rock security systems without setting off alarms. Someone who knows their passwords and protocols. Someone like me. Exactly like you. Natalie smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. Your choice is simple. Help us finish this and get rich, or... She didn't finish the sentence, but I understood. People who knew about $63 million and refused to help probably didn't live very long. How much would I get? $10 million. Enough to start over anywhere in the world. $10 million. More money than I'd ever dreamed of having. For a moment, I almost forgot that Detective Slade was listening to everything through the tiny microphone taped to my chest. What about the people whose money you're stealing? Retired teachers, construction workers, people who saved their whole lives. Trevor shrugged. Not our problem. If Blue Rock security was better, this wouldn't be possible. So it's their fault you're robbing them. It's business, Natalie said. Nothing personal. Personal. Everything about this felt personal. My wife had been lying to me for months, maybe years. My best friend had been paid to spy on me. My job, my marriage, my entire life had been destroyed to protect their criminal operation. I need time to think about this. You have until tomorrow night, Trevor said. We meet at Blue Rock's headquarters at midnight on Friday. You either help us transfer the money or we find another way to solve our problem. Natalie stood up and walked toward me. For a second, she looked like the woman I'd married. Soft features, kind eyes, the face I'd kissed goodbye every morning for 3 years. This could be good for us, she said quietly. We could start over together. New names, new country, more money than we'd ever need. Together, I never wanted to hurt you, but I also never wanted to be poor. This is our chance to have everything we ever dreamed about. Her hand touched my shoulder, and I felt something I thought was dead. Hope. Maybe she really did care about me. Maybe this was all about money, not about Trevor. Then I remembered Detective Slade, words about the phone calls between Trevor and Natalie, about the planning that had been going on for months, about the payments Trevor had been receiving. What about Trevor? She glanced back at him, then leaned closer to me. Trevor served his purpose, but he's not part of the long-term plan. Trevor couldn't hear what she was saying, but he was watching us carefully. His hand rested near a drawer that probably contained something more dangerous than wine. I need to go, I said, standing up. This is a lot to process. Don't take too long to decide, Trevor called as I headed for the door. Some opportunities don't come twice. Outside in the hallway, I felt like I couldn't breathe. The wire under my shirt felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Detective Slade had everything she needed to arrest all of them right now. But something Natalie said bothered me. Trevor wasn't part of the long-term plan. That meant she was planning to betray him too. How many people was she willing to destroy to get what she wanted? My phone buzzed with a text message as I got to the parking garage. Good work, but we need more. Can you get inside their computer systems? I looked up at Trevor's apartment window. The lights were still on. They were probably planning their next move right now. I typed back, yes, but we only get one chance at this. Friday night was 3 days away. 3 days to either catch them in the act or become their next victim. Detective Slade handed me the fake ID and credit cards like she was giving me weapons for war. We sat in an FBI safe house across town from Trevor's apartment, surrounded by computers and recording equipment that looked like something from a spy movie. Your new name is Robert Hayes, she said. Computer consultant from Chicago. If anyone checks, you have a real background and real bank accounts. Why do I need a fake identity? Because we think Blue Rock's CEO Benjamin Walsh has been watching you since the day you got fired. If you show up as yourself, he'll know something's wrong. The safe house felt like a bunker. No windows, steel doors, guards outside. Agent Slade explained that Blue Rock wasn't just stealing money. They were part of a bigger criminal network that included people in government, police departments, and banks. How big is this network? We don't know yet. That's why we need you to get inside their computer systems. We need to see who else is involved before we arrest anyone. She showed me photos of Benjamin Walsh meeting with men in expensive suits. Bank presidents, city council members, judges. People who could make evidence disappear and charges get dropped. If we move too fast, the important criminals will escape and the little guys will take all the blame. People like Trevor and Natalie, people exactly like them. Agent Slade pulled out a laptop and showed me blueprints of Blue Rock's headquarters building. Friday night, you'll enter through the parking garage using Trevor's access card. We cloned it yesterday when he stopped for gas. What if the security guards recognize me? They won't. Walsh fired the old security team last week, and hired new people. They don't know what you look like. The plan was complicated but simple. I would access BlueRock's main computer system and copy everything to a special hard drive the FBI had prepared. Financial records, email messages, phone logs, everything that proved who was involved in the money stealing. How long will I have? Trevor and Natalie think the transfer will take 2 hours. You'll have maybe 90 minutes before they realize something's wrong. What happens when they figure out I'm not really helping them? Agent Slade didn't answer right away. She looked at the other FBI agents in the room, then back at me. We'll have backup teams ready. But if something goes wrong, you'll be alone in that building with very dangerous people. The next day, I practiced using the FBI's special computer programs. They looked like normal software, but they could copy massive amounts of data in minutes instead of hours. The hard part isn't the technology, Agent Slade explained. The hard part is acting like you're really helping them steal the money. What do you mean? You have to make them believe you're transferring $63 million to their offshore accounts. But really, you'll be copying their files and sending fake transfer messages. What if they check the accounts and see the money isn't there? They won't be able to check until Monday morning when the Swiss banks open. By then, we'll have arrested everyone. Thursday night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Natalie's offer to start over together. Part of me wondered if she really meant it. Maybe she did care about me, and the money was just a way to give us a better life. But then I remembered the people whose retirement savings were being stolen. Teachers, firefighters, nurses who had worked their whole lives and trusted BlueRock to protect their money. Friday afternoon, Agent Slade called with bad news. We intercepted phone calls between Walsh and someone in Switzerland. They're moving the operation up. Tonight at 10 o'clock instead of midnight. That's 2 hours earlier than we planned. It gets worse. They're not meeting at BlueRock's headquarters. They're meeting at a warehouse in the industrial district. Warehouse 47B on River Road. My blood turned cold. Why the change? We think someone warned them that we're watching. Maybe someone inside the FBI. Maybe someone at BlueRock. Either way, they know we're coming. So the operation is over? Not if you're willing to take a bigger risk. We can still catch them, but it means going into the warehouse without backup. We won't be able to get our people in position in time. I thought about backing out. This had gone from dangerous to deadly. But then I thought about all the people who would lose their life savings if BlueRock's network escaped. What I need to do? Show up at the warehouse at 10 o'clock like nothing's changed. Pretend you don't know about the location change. Act surprised, but willing to go along with it. And then, get them talking about the crimes while you're copying their computer files. We need them to admit everything on tape. Agent Slade handed me a tiny camera that looked like a button on my shirt. This will record everything. Even if something happens to you, we'll have the evidence we need. Something happens to me? These people have killed before. A whistleblower in Miami last year. An accountant in Denver who asked too many questions. They don't leave loose ends. The warehouse district felt like another planet. Empty buildings, broken streetlights, no people anywhere. Warehouse 47B sat at the end of a dead-end street, surrounded by darkness. Trevor's truck was already there when I arrived. So was Natalie's car and 2 other vehicles I didn't recognize. Through the dirty windows, I could see lights and shadows moving around inside. My phone buzzed with a text from Agent Slade. We're 10 minutes away. Whatever happens, don't let them leave before we get there. I walked toward the warehouse door, knowing I was about to face the 3 people who had destroyed my life, but also knowing that in 10 minutes, justice would finally catch up with all of them. The door opened before I could knock. Benjamin Walsh stood there with a smile that made my skin crawl. "Welcome to the real BlueRock operation," he said. "I hope you're ready to get very rich or very dead." Behind him, I could see computer screens, stacks of cash, and Trevor holding something that definitely wasn't a pen. This was it. Everything came down to the next 10 minutes. The warehouse looked like a high-tech bank robbery was happening right in front of my eyes. Computer screens covered every table, showing bank account numbers from countries around the world. Stacks of cash sat in neat piles next to machines that counted money faster than humans could think. Benjamin Walsh closed the door behind me with a sound like a prison cell locking. "You're just in time for the grand finale." Trevor stood behind one of the computers, but the thing in his hand wasn't a pen. It was a gun, and he was pointing it in my direction like he'd done this before. "Relax," Natalie called from across the room. "He's here to help us, not cause problems." She walked toward me wearing clothes I'd never seen before. Expensive black dress, diamond jewelry, shoes that probably cost more than our monthly rent used to be. This wasn't the woman who clipped coupons and shopped at discount stores during our marriage. "You look different," I said. "I look like myself for the first time in 3 years." She stopped right in front of me, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Pretending to be a poor man's wife was exhausting. The words hit me like physical blows. Pretending? Did you really think someone like me would fall in love with someone like you? A computer technician who drives a 10-year-old car and thinks dinner at Olive Garden is special. Benjamin Walsh laughed from somewhere behind me. "She's been working for us since before you met her. The marriage was just part of the job." My legs almost gave out. What job? Getting close to Blue Rock employees who might cause problems. Watching them, reporting on them, keeping them distracted. Natalie walked back to her computer. "You weren't the first husband, and you won't be the last." Trevor kept the gun pointed at me while typing on his keyboard. "She's good at her job. 3 years of marriage, and you never suspected she was spying on you every single day. Every conversation we had, every vacation we took, every time we—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "Every time we made love." Natalie didn't look up from her screen. I was thinking about this moment, about finally getting enough money to live the life I deserve. The camera button on my shirt felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Detective Slade needed to hear all of this, but I also needed to stay alive long enough for the FBI to arrive. "How much money are we talking about now?" Benjamin Walsh pulled up a chair next to a computer screen showing numbers that made my head spin. $87 million as of this morning. Pension funds, insurance payments, client savings accounts. All sitting in banks that don't ask questions. $87 million. The retirement money from 43,000 teachers, firefighters, nurses, and construction workers. He said it like he was talking about the weather. People who trusted Blue Rock to protect their future. What happens to them when they try to retire? Trevor shrugged without lowering his gun. "Not our problem. Maybe they'll work until they die. Maybe the government will help them. Maybe they'll just be homeless." The casual cruelty in his voice made me want to grab his gun and use it on him. These weren't numbers on a computer screen. These were real people who had worked their whole lives and saved every penny they could. "Time to earn your $10 million, Natalie said, pointing to an empty chair in front of a computer. "Transfer everything to our Swiss accounts, and you'll be rich enough to buy your own island." I sat down at the computer and looked at the screen. Bank account numbers from Blue Rock, passwords for wire transfers, routing codes for banks in Switzerland and the Cayman Islands. Everything I needed to steal $87 million with a few keystrokes. "What's the password for the main account?" Benjamin Walsh leaned over my shoulder. "Golden_Eagle_1947. Capital letters, underscores between words." I typed in the password and watched the Blue Rock banking system open up in front of me. Every account, every client, every dollar they were supposed to be protecting. "Once I start this transfer, there's no going back," I said. "That's the point," Natalie replied. "No going back to your old life. No going back to being poor. No going back to following rules." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Detective Slade had given me special software that would copy all their files while pretending to transfer money. But I had to be careful. If they figured out what I was really doing, Trevor's gun would be the last thing I ever saw. "Beginning transfer now," I announced, started to type commands that looked real, but were actually copying evidence to the FBI's computers. "How long will this take?" Trevor asked. 90 minutes to move $87 million safely. If we rush it, bank security systems might notice and freeze everything. For the next hour, I pretended to transfer stolen money while actually downloading their entire criminal operation. Email messages between Benjamin Walsh and bank presidents. Phone records showing calls to government officials. Financial statements proving they'd been stealing money for 5 years, not 3. "Transfer 60% complete," I announced, watching their faces relax as they believed their plan was working. That's when my phone buzzed with a text message. Benjamin Walsh grabbed it before I could stop him. His face went white as he read the message. FBI units surrounding building. You have 2 minutes to surrender. Trevor pointed his gun directly at my head. You set us up. I don't know what you're talking about. Natalie rushed over and ripped open my shirt, exposing the tiny camera the FBI had given me. He's been recording everything. Who are you really? Benjamin Walsh demanded. Before I could answer, the warehouse lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting strange shadows across the room. Outside, I could hear vehicles surrounding the building. FBI, this is a raid. Come out with your hands up. Trevor's gun was still pointed at my head when Agent Slade's voice came through a megaphone. Building is surrounded. You have 60 seconds to surrender. Benjamin Walsh grabbed a different gun from a desk drawer. Natalie pulled out a pistol from her purse. Suddenly, I was surrounded by 3 people with weapons who had just realized their entire plan was falling apart. You're going to walk us out of here, Benjamin Walsh said, or we're all going to die together. The standoff lasted exactly 37 seconds before everything changed forever. Trevor kept his gun aimed at my head while Benjamin Walsh and Natalie argued about which exit gave them the best chance to escape. The loading dock, Natalie insisted. FBI probably doesn't have people there yet. They've been watching us for months, Benjamin Walsh snapped. They have people everywhere. That's when I decided to tell them the truth about who I really was. Detective Walker, Largeview Police Financial Crimes Unit. I pulled out my real badge and gun from inside my jacket. I've been working undercover for 2 years. The shock on their faces was worth every dangerous moment of the past week. Trevor's gun hand started shaking. Natalie stepped backward like I'd slapped her. 2 years, she whispered. The marriage, the job at Blue Rock, even this house in Largeview. All part of my cover operation. I kept my gun pointed at Trevor while talking. We've been investigating Blue Rock since 2023. Benjamin Walsh lowered his weapon slightly. You're a cop. Financial crimes detective specializing in corporate theft and money laundering. The FBI and local police have been working together on this case. Trevor's face went through about 6 different emotions before settling on pure rage. You lied to me for 2 years. You were stealing money from people's retirement accounts. Did you think I was going to tell you the truth? The warehouse door exploded inward as FBI agents in full tactical gear swarmed into the building. Drop your weapons. Now. Benjamin Walsh threw his gun on the floor and put his hands up immediately. Smart businessman to the end. Trevor hesitated for about 3 seconds, then realized he was surrounded by federal agents with much bigger guns than his little pistol. Natalie was the only one who didn't surrender right away. The whole marriage was fake. She still had her gun in her hand, but it was pointed at the floor. Not fake. Complicated. I kept my weapon trained on her until Agent Slade could get close enough to disarm her. I was supposed to investigate your financial activities. I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you. You fell in love with me? I fell in love with the person I thought you were. The woman who cared about other people, who wanted to build a life together, who made me laugh every morning. Agent Slade snapped handcuffs on Natalie's wrists. That woman never existed. Maybe she did for a few moments, I said quietly. Maybe when she wasn't thinking about money or crime or betraying people. The FBI agents led Benjamin Walsh and Trevor toward the exit in handcuffs. But Natalie stopped walking when she got to me. How much of it was real? Which part? The part where you said you loved me. I looked at her face, trying to see some trace of the woman I'd married. But all I saw was someone who had been lying to me every single day for 3 years. I loved someone who didn't exist. But yes, those feelings were real. What happens now? Agent Slade answered before I could. Federal prison. 25 years minimum for financial fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. They led her away, and I stood alone in the warehouse, surrounded by evidence of the biggest financial crime in Largeview's history. Outstanding work, Detective Walker, Agent Slade said, walking back over to me. We recovered $91 million in stolen funds. Thousands of people will get their retirement money back. 91 million. We found 4 million more in accounts you helped us discover tonight. Plus, we identified 17 other people involved in the network. Bank officials, government workers, even 2 judges. She handed me a folder full of arrest warrants and financial documents. This case is going to keep us busy for the next 5 years. Interested in a transfer to the FBI Financial Crimes Unit. I looked around the warehouse one more time. Computer screens still showing bank account numbers. Stacks of cash that represented stolen dreams and broken promises. Evidence of how far people would go to get rich by hurting others. Can I take a vacation first? This undercover operation has been exhausting. Take all the time you need. But when you're ready, we could use someone with your skills and experience. 3 months later, I moved out of the house in Larchview. Too many fake memories, too many conversations that had been lies from the beginning. I bought a small apartment across town and adopted a dog from the animal shelter. Golden Retriever mix named Justice because he seemed to understand the importance of doing the right thing. Sometimes I wonder if Natalie ever thinks about the people whose money she stole. Teachers who might have to work extra years before retiring. Firefighters who trusted their pension fund to provide security. Nurses who saved money their whole careers only to discover it was gone. But mostly I think about the difference between the person someone pretends to be and the person they really are. Natalie pretended to love me while planning to destroy my life. I pretended to be someone I wasn't in order to protect innocent people from being robbed. Maybe we were both lying, but only one of us was lying to help others. My phone buzzes with a text from Agent Slade. New case in Phoenix. Corporate executives stealing from medical research funds. Interested, I look at Justice, who wags his tail like he knows we're about to help more people get justice. What do you think, boy? Ready for another adventure? He barks once, which I take as a yes. Some people spend their lives taking from others. I'd rather spend mine giving back what was stolen.